Let's keep going with a simple but important bit of Scala syntax. Let's understand how we can define values and variables using expressions. Once we've understood the distinction between expressions and statements, it actually ought to strike us as perfectly natural that we can initialize values or variables using expressions. Remember, an expression is simply a unit of code that returns a value. We can take that value and assign it to some other variable or value, and we are done. You can see on screen right now, for instance, how we have used an expression block to initialize a value called area. This expression block has, of course, as its last expression, the return value, which here is pi multiplied by radius multiplied by radius. The return value of this expression is used to assign a value to the L value here called area. Notice how the expression block has a value defined within it. Pi is local to the scope of that expression block. And also notice how the reference to the previously defined value or variable is possible inside that scope. Expression blocks have a life of their own. They have scopes, they can have nested scopes, variables can be defined inside those scopes. Those expression blocks can also reference variables which were defined in an external scope. Much more on this later when we talk about closures. What you see on screen now is a simple enough construct, but it is a very important one in Scala, and we will be returning to this construct again and again. Why does this matter? Why does it matter that we can use an expression block to initialize a value or a variable? Well, it does because expression blocks are actually a precursor to functions. More on that later. Functions are basically just named reusable expression blocks. And expressions themselves are R values, which means that they can be assigned and composed, i.e., chained. Statements, by contrast, are not R values, they cannot be composed. And we've already discussed how the composition of functions is such an important part of any functional programming paradigm.